And I've got some trivia questions. 2 nights ago, I went to go see the new Elvis movie. It was a documentary about Elvis Presley. Anybody know who Elvis Presley is? Yeah, okay, all right. So he always wore a necklace, and it had the initials TCB with a lightning bolt. Trivia question, whoever can get the answer to that gets a copy of the book. What does TCB stand for with a lightning bolt? Elvis wore it all the time around his neck. What is it? Taking care of business, yes. There you go. So tonight, we're going to be wrapping this up and just taking care of some business. I got a couple more trivia questions. So if you have $100 to invest and you make 10% per year, how many years will it take for your money to double? So the rule of 72 is take 72, divide by 10, and the answer is 7.2. So you said 7. You got it. Okay, the last book goes to this trivia question. What's the biggest factor in building financial freedom? Is it winning the lottery? Is it starting early and invest and being consistent? Is it having rich parents? Is it getting lucky with cryptocurrency? Yeah, you guys got it. You guys are shouting it out. There you go. All right. Thank you. All right. So is there a clicker? Let's see. Teresa, how do I click? Okay. So this is going to be the last night that I'm going to be here, and I just want to say thank you, everybody. I appreciate your attention and learning, and I want you guys to stay in contact with me. Things come up, you got questions? One of the big things we talked about last week was the one who borrows the money is a slave to the lender. I don't want any of you guys to be slaves to the lender. So owing people money is not good, unless it's like a big purchase like your house or something like that, which becomes an asset once you own that. So on the next slide, we're going to spend some time talking about this. This is my concept that I came up with. And so we're talking about my company, Wealth and Wings. And I'm the owner of the company. And I'm responsible for myself. Who's responsible for you guys? Who's responsible for you? Yourselves, right? So you are responsible for yourself. Soon your parents won't have anything. You will be living someplace else, maybe at college, maybe later you move away from home, but you are responsible to yourself. If you're responsible to yourself, you're the owner of your own business, and you are the president of your company. So you're running a business, and you are the president of your company. Now, in order to do good, just like any company, you've got to add value. So the way the companies grow is they have products or they have services, and they have to add value to those products or services. Otherwise, nobody's going to buy them. The same thing with you. If you want to be successful in life, then you got to add value to everything you do. So value is something very important that you can practice all the time. By doing good in classes, how do you add value to the whole classroom? How do you add value to the things you do at home? So always be thinking about, how do I add value? And that's the way businesses get started, because somebody finds something and they say, hey, I can do this a little bit better. I can add more value to this. So value is important, but also on the left-hand side, your mindset. When that alarm goes off at 6 o'clock in the morning, do you get up in the morning, or do you hit snooze and go back to bed for 2 hours? Some people do, right? But if your mindset says, man, today's a great day, I slept okay, I'm going to get up and I got all these things I want to tackle, all these things I want to do. And if you've got that positive mindset, you can do so much, right? If you have a negative mindset, it's just the world's against me, I can't do this, I won't do this, I don't know how to do this. But if you have a positive mindset, there's nothing you can't do. You can just move on. So along with a positive mindset, in order to do something, you've got to have what I call momentum. Just like learning how to ride a bike. You fall down, you ride a bike, you fall down, but you get back up and you start going again. And on a bike, once you get pedaling consistently, you've got momentum. And then the bike just bounces itself. You don't fall down anymore. So you got to have momentum in your life. I love that word momentum. You try something, maybe it doesn't work, but you learn by trying it, and you get back up and you try something different. And each time you fail, then you learn something in that process, right? Like maybe riding the bike, you went off of a big jump and you fell down. Well, maybe I shouldn't try to go off a big jump until I master the smaller jumps. So failing is okay because we learn from every time that we fail. So that's okay. You're supposed to fail because that's how we learn. So I want everybody to think about momentum. You got to have momentum in your life. You got to do things. You guys, by showing up here tonight, that shows momentum. You're doing something with your life. You're trying to make yourself better. You're trying to learn. So that's momentum. On the other side, super important, is education. Continuing your education is so important. You got to keep on learning. And if you don't, other people are going to pass you up. And then you wonder why they get the promotions and you don't. And then you wonder why they start a business and you don't. Because you didn't continue to grow. Now, as the owner, God's in charge of us, right? It's God's plan. But God gave us free will. God gave us free will to fail. God gave us free will to be successful. So education is very important. And nowadays, the most important thing you can do is keep learning new skills. Learning new skills is so vitally important because just like I did in 2008, I lost my house. You could lose your car. You could lose your job. There's many things we can lose in life. But if you've got skills, you can build them back and even more. So you got to think about skills. You got to keep your education going and you got to continue to learn. And it's funner if you kind of learn the things that you enjoy learning about. But try to be the best you can. So when you work for a company, when you work for a job, you may not love the job that you are doing, but try to talk to your boss and say, hey, can I work in this other department so I can learn the skills of that other department? Can I do this and that? And then your boss will see, wow, that person, that young lady has initiative and she wants to learn and she's adding value to the company because she's got a positive mindset, she wants to learn, that's the person I'm going to watch after. And so when it comes time for companies to lay off people, they're not going to lay off the people that are adding value. They're going to lay off the people that are just doing the job but not adding value. So you need to think about everything you do. Think about how can I add value to this? It even could be in your friendships, right? You got a group of friends. How do I become better friends? How can I be a better friend to that person? How can I add value to their life? So that's super important. Now we add all these things together, we've got financial freedom. And that allows us to have more stewardship, help more people, pull them up, put a hand out there and help others on the left-hand side. It allows us to have more impact in our lives and how we do things. We can impact the people we touch, the people we meet, the people that we help. It gives us impact. And then you can create a legacy for you and for your family, right? You want to have purpose on this life. You guys are young, so it seems like you're going to live a long time, but as you get older, we don't get back time. And we realize that we only have so many years that we can live. So you want to live with purpose, and you want to have a legacy. And it's all below God's plan, who gave us free will to do all these things. So in combination, if you have that momentum and mindset, keep up your education, keep up your skills, that together, all those things will lead you to financial freedom. Okay? So that's the most important lesson, is everything you do, try to add value to that thing that you're doing. On the next slide, oh wait, one more thing about value. Value can be broken into 3 categories. There's moral value. Moral value is about doing the right thing, being ethical. That's moral value. And then the second one is spiritual value, your relationship with God. Your relationship with God and your purpose in life. And then the third one is economic value. Now in this class, we're kind of talking about economic value. It's our skills, money, and our contributions. So when I talk about value, there's 3 different kinds of value that you add, and all value falls into one of those 3 categories. Okay? On the next slide. Just a reminder to everybody, if you didn't last time, a month ago, please, I've got, Lewis is spending time to create these little short videos, so please hit us up on Instagram, YouTube. You can always stay in touch with me on my email, and there's my website. So if you have a cell phone, please, join our Instagram account and write a comment, like, whatnot. That way we can keep this thing going, and we can share the videos amongst other things. So if you forgot something, we've got all these short lessons on Instagram, and it's going to remind you of some of the things that we spoke about. So I encourage you to sign up on Instagram. So I help people to turn knowledge into financial freedom. Why? What's the big why? To serve others. To serve others. On the next slide, we talk about what is wealth. We've kind of touched on that a few times. It's more than money. Wealth is a lot more than money. It includes freedom, the skills that we've been talking about, our faith, and our purpose. All those things are wealth. So a lot of people think of, the first thing that comes to people's mind when I say wealth, they think about, well, how much money do you have? No, it's not just the money, right? It's also about your skills and your faith and your purpose in life. All those combined, that's true wealth, okay? So when someone says, he's wealthy or I'm wealthy, don't just think about the money. So God values faithfulness in small things. And whoever is faithful in little is faithful in much. Let's go to the next slide. We're cruising through this pretty quick. Okay, there's 2 main pathways for you to make money. There is the entrepreneurship route, which would be starting a business. There's one guy here that I was very impressed with, that he started a business with lawn care. Is he here tonight? No. Okay, very impressive. So he asked me after the first night, he goes, Dr. Ramirez, I started this business, I'm very proud of it. What can I do to grow the business? And I said, well, what are you doing? And he goes, well, I have customers and I go out and I mow their lawns. I said, okay, well, you're doing it wrong. What do you mean? I said, well, your job is to get the customers, take care of the customer service, then you hire people to do the work. Your job is to grow the business because you've got good communication skills, you've got good ideas, but I don't want you doing the work. Your job is to get the business and then hire somebody else, hire teams of people to do the work. Okay? Because I told him, you only have so many hours in a day, and you go to school and you do this on weekends, you're not going to make that much money doing that. But if you start hiring people to do the work for you and you get the customers, that's how you're going to build the wealth. So I'd love to follow up with him to see if he's doing that or not. So one pathway is starting a business. And if you look at any of the entrepreneurs that we have in America, the US is super good because we got all the legal regulations to protect business owners. We got tax laws to provide incentives to people that start businesses. There's tax deductions. So because our government wants people to start businesses, because every large business, Tesla, Microsoft, Amazon, they all started small. They all started in the garage, 2 people in a dorm room. They started small, and then they grew it big over time to be some of the largest companies in the world. So our government and taxes, everything supports entrepreneurship. Now, you can make a lot more money working for yourself than you can working for somebody else because you can keep expanding what you do to grow your company by adding value to your company. When you work for a company, that's good, and you don't have to take as many risks, but you can only get so high within a company, and you're going to get your 2-3% raises per year. You're not going to make as much money. So I want everybody to start thinking about something they like to do, and maybe have a side hustle, some kind of a business that you may want to start, but be thinking about that. There's good jobs you can get, of course. You can be a doctor, an attorney, even a teacher. But the people that have true wealth are the people that start businesses. So be thinking about that. And then the other pathway is through investing. Right? We talked about investing in the stock market. What is investing, right? When you invest, you're buying a piece of a company when you invest in that company. So when you buy a piece of companies that you know are going to do very well, and you hold on to them, over time, those investments turn into some very definite cash flow and turns into money. And a lot of people can do very well investing their money. And we talked about how you should have multiple streams of income. So one stream of income would be your job. Maybe another stream of income would be your investments. Another stream of income would be maybe a side hustle. So you've got to be diversified so that you can make money in different ways. So investing is all about money and growing over time. Both of these require discipline and wisdom. So discipline and wisdom kind of goes to that other diagram that I was showing, momentum, right? You gotta have that positive mindset, momentum. You gotta have discipline. You gotta have, on the other side, you gotta have your education and your skills. And you gotta keep growing those things. And then you want to commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will succeed, from Proverbs. Because on the very top, we exist because of our Lord, because of Jesus, and He's got a plan for all of us. But like I said, He gave us free will to live our life and to grow, but He wants us to be good stewards, and He wants us to help others. So on the next slide, we talked about investment, wisdom, and biblical guidance. So owning the small pieces of real companies, that's investing. And with investing, you got to think long term, not just quick money gains, right? It's, you're not going to win the lottery. I'm sorry, you can play the lottery, but you're throwing your money away, you're not going to win the lottery. Patience beats panic. So if you start young, like you guys, you're going to learn along the way with investing, and you can get better and better and better at it. And over the long run, you're going to do well. On the next slide, we talk about financial wisdom and risky choices. So you've got to be smart, and that means being patient, learning, continuous learning, and also be disciplined. You got to do all those things. And on the other side is risky. Gambling. Sports betting is a big thing right now. You know, what's the score going to be at the second at halftime? You know, who's going to sing the Pledge of Allegiance? Who's going to have 2 touchdowns? And that's gambling. So you want to stay away from gambling. You want to stay away from things that are too good to be true. We call hype. And you want to stay away from shortcuts. You know, if somebody says, "Hey, I can make you $1,000 in a week," you know, it sounds great, but is it reality? Is it, you know, someone's giving you a line and don't fall for those lines because it's not going to be true. So the wise see danger and take refuge. On the next slide, we're going to talk about some young entrepreneurs. And on the left is Jeff Bezos. He's the founder of Amazon. He started Amazon in his garage. He solved one problem at a time, and he built slowly with discipline. Recognize that word, discipline? Okay? And he started with solving one problem at a time. He took the bookstore that he bought, Barnes & Noble, and he said, "Hey, I can do this online now because of the internet." And then he started selling the books on the internet, and then realized, if I can sell books online, I can sell other things. And now he sells a ton of things, everything. Everything you can imagine you can buy on Amazon. So that's Jeff Bezos. Bill Gates on the right, these are their high school pictures, by the way. Bill Gates on the right, he started software coding as a software programmer as a teenager. He turned his skills into a global impact, and he focused on learning. He focused on learning before trying to make money. He knew that he had to learn. And he was very successful at a young age. He was so successful that if we flip the slide, he now has the largest private charitable foundation in the world, where like $70 billion get donated around the world to needy things. So Bill Gates is the co-founder of Microsoft. He's one of the richest people in the world. And him and his ex-wife now, Bill and Melinda Gates, they founded the charitable foundation. And what they told people, what they did at the beginning is they went to other rich friends, like Warren Buffett, who have billions of dollars. And they kind of said, you know, you're going to die and you can't take it with you. Why don't you start giving us money for the charitable foundation before you pass away so we can help all these people? And they got over 700 people to sign up right away who gave away 80% of their fortunes to the foundation, and the foundation was able to pick and choose all kinds of organizations to contribute the money to, right? Because you can't take it with you when you pass away. Right? So, and the purpose of having wealth is to help others. And he's just a good example of that. So his foundation, it fights diseases like malaria and polio. He improves education, not so much in the US, but in other countries like Africa. And he is concentrated on reducing poverty worldwide. I mean, that's pretty fantastic that he's doing all these things. So giving starts with your time, your talent, and your heart, right? Because you're giving something. Your time, your talent, and your heart, because you're giving something and you're helping somebody. So that's key. And then on the next slide, we can talk about Elon Musk. He's the one who owns Tesla. He was self-taught, also a software programmer, and he failed often, but he keeps on learning, right? One of his companies is SpaceX. At one time, he owned SpaceX and he owned Tesla at the same time. 50% of his money was going to SpaceX. The other 50% was on Tesla. Well, his first 2 rockets failed. Millions of dollars were spent on those rockets. And he was put into a situation that said, if this next rocket fails, I'm going to lose all the money that I have, and it might also bring down my other company called Tesla. So fortunately for him, it didn't fail. It was a success. And then after that, NASA picked him up to build rockets. And now he's one of the, if not the richest person in the world. But it's all about taking a risk as well. He took a massive risk. Who would think about starting a company that builds rockets and then leads them into space? And many of his other companies, kind of risky, but they also add, if they're successful, they add a lot of value. He tells stories about himself where he didn't have the money to hire the best engineers because he couldn't pay them enough. So he ended up being the head engineer of his own company in SpaceX, and he'd spend 24 hours there at the lab helping to build SpaceX. He'd sleep on the floor or sleep on a couch, and he worked all the time, right? Until his company got big enough where he could hire some good engineers. So, that's just the tenacity of somebody working hard to achieve their dreams. And then we got Hosea Bridges. He was 9 years old when he started his company in fashion. He liked bow ties, and with the help of his parents, he started a company and did very well. Actually became a millionaire by the brands that he started and the clothing and the designs that he created. So, 9 years old. So you don't have to be out of college if you have an idea, if you can add value to something, right? You can be 9 years old. On the next slide, what all successful starters share. They start before feeling ready. So many times, you might say something, I'm not ready to do that. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't have the education. Well, if nobody does. Ask anybody who started a business. Nobody feels like, okay, I'm ready now to start this business. Because they're taking chances, they're taking risks, and they're doing things outside of their comfort level that they've never done before. So it takes you to do risky things, and you're never going to be ready. You just have to start doing it. Start. And momentum, one of my favorite words again, will lead you from one thing to the next, to the next. You make a mistake along the way, that's okay. You reroute and you try again and you do something different. But you always have to keep moving. So that's where we have number 3 bullet. They stay consistent. You got to keep doing something. You got to keep moving. So faith and effort will lead you to growth. You're never too young to use your gifts. That came from Timothy. Right. All right, let's do one more slide. Okay, go back one. Your high school faith challenge. Okay. Well, I want to challenge you guys. If you don't already, can you save $100? Can you save? Does anybody have more than $100 saved? Oh, that's good. Okay, you guys are off to a good start. For you, I'm going to save $500. Can you save $500? Okay, that's fantastic. All right. So, and then talk to your parents about investing. Tell them, hey, Dad, Mom, how do you invest? I've been going to the financial freedom seminar at the church, and I want to learn how to invest. Can I take $50 of my money and put it towards Amazon or something? And so I can start learning how to invest? And you would have to co-sign on the account because I'm not 18 yet. And it's a good learning experience. The point is, you got to get in the game. You got to start doing it. You can't just watch from the outside and watch other people doing it. You got to get in the game. Any athlete will tell you, they're sitting on the bench, coach, you got to put me in the game. I can't get a touchdown unless you put me in the game. So you got to get in the game. Right? So if you want to do well in investing, it's okay to be young, but get in the game. All right? When you're in college on your own, get in the game. When somebody asks you to do something, when somebody asks for volunteers, be one of the first ones to raise your hand and say, yeah, I'll do that. Get in the game. When somebody says, hey, can you do this? Your answer is yes. Get in the game. Even if you don't know how to do it. Now we've got this thing called AI, right? It's got all the answers. So even if you don't know how to do something, just AI it. Ask ChatGPT. And the better questions you ask ChatGPT, the better answers it's going to give you. Right? Have conversations with ChatGPT. It's a fantastic tool that will help you. So even if you don't have the information, you know how to get the information. You know, before we just used to Google things, but now we AI things, right? You know how to get the information. And the better questions you ask AI, the better responses it's going to get. For example, you would say, hey, I'm 16 years old, and I'm a junior in high school, and I'm trying to start a business. I live in Santa Clarita, and I'd like to do these type of things. What kind of businesses would you suggest? And it's going to come back and give you some responses. And then you might like some of the responses, and maybe you need to fine tune it, but ask other questions. Or whatever example you can think of. So start learning how to use AI. So it wasn't until the 1990s when we had the internet. So that's relatively new, right? That's 35 years ago we had the internet. Email, maybe 40 years ago, email came out. And so you guys have the tools, and you guys are growing up with these things. You have laptops, and you have cell phones, and so you know how to use social media. And with social media, you can access the entire world. Everybody's your customer. So if you come up with a good product or a service, you can sell to anybody. And now you have AI to help you get there faster by asking questions. So there's no better time than now to get in the game and start doing things. And one more slide. So our final prayer and thought. Don't try to start big. We got to start small, right? You start small, but you do want to be faithful and you want to be consistent. You want to be disciplined and you want to have that mindset. You want to continue your education and you want to build your skills. Why? Because you want to add value to everything you do. So if I were, after 4 weeks, 4 different times talking to you, if I were to give you one important thing, the most important thing I would tell you to do is to think about always, how do I add value to my life? How do I add value to somebody else's life? How do I add value at my job? How do I add value with my schoolwork so that I can get A's? You always got to do your work and a little bit more. If you have a job, you want to go to work and you want to do your job, but if you want to add value, you got to do your job and a little bit more. So that's the key. The key is adding value to everything you do. And then you're going to start making money, and then we start using our money to serve, to help other people. Not to control our lives, but to help others. So Lord, guide my choices, grow my wisdom, and use my life to bless others. And that's what I want you guys to do. So on the next slide, she ran away. Run, Teresa, run. Oh, she can run. She can run. Okay, so this was the key slide that I want you guys to remember. So take your cell phones out. Remember this. If you want to, yeah, you can take out your cell phone. If you want, yep. Financial freedom, to get there, it's all about adding value. A positive mindset, momentum, your education, your skills, and then you can have more stewardship, impact, and leave a legacy. So my key point, it's right there. If you remember everything there, then that's how you're going to do good in life. And you guys are a smart group, a very educated group, a good leader, and just by the thought that you guys are here tonight and been here most of the weeks, you guys would do well. And I look forward to hearing stories about where you guys are going to be at in 5 years. And I think I had one more slide, but it was just to ask questions and take questions from anybody. So what time do we have?
This is where being courageous really matters, because I bet you aren't the only one with that question, and you probably have someone that's thinking or asking the same thing. So open it up, or you can tell me if you have any questions for Dr. Ramirez.
So we're done with our presentation, but I want to allow you a few minutes to answer any questions that anybody might have. Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on day trading?
Oh, the question is, what are my thoughts on day trading? Day trading is gambling. What day trading is for example, I'll give you an example. You heard that a new drug is going to come out. And as soon as that drug gets approved, the stock of that drug is going to go up very quickly. Could go up by 1,000%. And day traders try to catch the wave of something like that. You almost need inside information to catch that money. Day traders have to, in order to make money though, they got to put down a lot of money. But it's risky. It could be false news. It could go up and come right back down, and it's just risky. And because it's risky, I kind of think of it as gambling. I'm not a fan of day trading. I'm a fan of what I call momentum trading, which is more longer term or long-term trading. But day trading is risky. Good question, though. Other questions? We'll take 3 questions. That was 1. 2 more. There's the mic going. Oh, okay. I'll give you like 5 companies right now. So, NVIDIA makes chips, and with AI, and we get cryptocurrencies which work on the blockchain, and it uses a lot of energy and computer power, and you need computers in order to make Bitcoin. So NVIDIA makes the chips, and they also make it for AI. So all across the US, we're building these huge data centers, and so NVIDIA is a recommendation. Also think about companies that you use all the time. So we all use Amazon, right? And Amazon's going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So computer chips are being used a lot. It's going to grow because of AI is growing. Computer chips is going to grow. Amazon's going to continue to grow. So be thinking of companies like that. Visa will continue to grow. What other companies? Tesla is going to be up and down, but because Elon Musk is behind Tesla, they'll continue to go up because he's such a creative guy. That's 3 companies I can think of right now. Yes?
What about SpaceX?
SpaceX is about to go public. They're going to do an IPO. So that's why right now it could be a good time to. SpaceX is owned by Tesla. So if you buy Tesla stock and SpaceX goes public, The stock's going to go up.
Didn't Tesla also acquire Twitter and Grok? And that?
Yes. Yes.
And did they also like Neuralink, the boring company, or?
Yes. Yes. The Boring Company and Neuralink. Yeah. And it's all under the Tesla umbrella. So that's why I think Tesla would do well.
Tesla's also
SpaceX space is a great frontier where lots of things are going to happen in space. Now, who would have thought that the drones were going to be fighting a big part of our wars, 5 years ago, right? Imagine what's going to be happening through space. So whoever controls space with lasers, so that's where we're headed.
It's almost like Ronald Reagan's Star Wars program.
It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. So, good question. There was another question up there? The guy in the blue? No? Did you forget your question?
Wouldn't it be better to like invest into like smaller companies as in, like I say, example being Ring, when that was small, then people used to invest into it and all of a sudden it went up in sales and they made a profit.
Which company?
Ring, for example. Ring.
Oh, the Ring. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nothing wrong with investing in small companies, but you have to wait until there's some momentum with the company, and all of a sudden they make this announcement and they're doing something new with the Ring. Like Apple's a good company, but everybody has cell phones now, right? So who else are they going to sell their cell phones to, right? They've leveled off, they've peaked, right? So Ring will do that as well. They're going to kind of peak. But if you can invest in a small company when they're still young, when they have potential, yeah, that's always good. And that's a good example. Yeah. Okay. I don't see any other questions. Oh, one more. Go ahead.
What method would you use to like keep up with different companies and what they're releasing?
Keep up with what?
Like, what methods would you use to keep up with different companies?
Okay. What method would I use to keep up with different companies? Well, I'll give you a podcast that I like to listen to. And I'll give you the exact name. He does a daily podcast, and he's an investor, but he always says what's going on with the companies, what's new, what's working, and he talks about how the environment, the macro picture, affects the companies. And his name is Bill Gunderson. Let me get the exact. I'm drawing a blank on. So. Well, I'm not finding it right now, but I'll find it in a second, and I'll catch up with you. But so I listen to him every morning, and it gives me ideas, and from there I just start investigating into those companies a little bit more. You can always go to a website called FinViz, and on the FinViz website you can get the balance sheet, statement of cash flows, and other statements, and it's all free. It has charts you can look at, and the charts are technical analysis, so you can look to see how a company's doing. And that's something, if you want to be a trader, you have to learn technical analysis, how to read the charts.
There's a lot of talking still happening. Does that mean you guys have more questions, or are you guys listening? So because someone is asking questions, I want to make sure that we all have a chance to hear. So we're almost done. Just please be respectful so we can hear. And I think you had one more question.
One more question. Yeah. Yeah, Enron was a company that they used to falsify their books, right? And, and so what they did as a result of companies like Enron is the chief financial officer has to sign the documents that their balance sheet, their income statement, statement of cash flows is accurate. And if it's not, they could go to jail. So that's how they corrected companies like Enron. The question about AI being in the bubble, I think a lot of people are saying that a lot of jobs are going to be lost to AI, but I don't think it's going to happen as quickly as people are saying, because for example, AI is going to do a lot of software development, but you still need programmers to tell it what to do, to verify it's correct, to have the creativity. And so we're still going to need a lot of software developments. But what it's going to do is it's going to speed up the time of software development. And that's what AI does, is just speeds up the time of doing things. So that gives you back more time. Yeah.
Do you think that could cause long-term issues in software engineering? Because as far as I've heard, it's mainly displacing junior software engineers while leaving more senior, experienced software engineers to help check the code. But if no one is coming into software engineering anymore, because junior engineers can build up experience, will that cause any long-term effects on software engineering as a whole? Because if eventually no one knows how to do custom stuff, how do you do it?
Yeah, that's a good point. So everything kind of works in cycles. So if people have a fear that they're not going to have a job if they go into software development, then there's not going to be as many programmers going into it. But then, at some point when there's a demand and they pay them more money, people will come back. It's just cyclical. But AI is still developing so quick. We don't know what it's going to be like 3 years down the road. That's why the most important thing for you guys to do is keep up your skills. Learn about AI so that you know how to use it. Otherwise, you'll be replaced by the person that knows how to use it. So you won't, and it's just like the calculator was. You don't do math anymore. You can use a calculator or a spreadsheet. And so AI is good at saving you time and providing information. Good question. Okay, I'm going to pass it back to Teresa. You guys, I just want to thank you so much for everything. You guys were awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you again, Dr. Ramirez.